Okay. Good evening. It's now 6 o'clock, and the May 19th meeting of the Dublin Center Mountain Services District Board of Directors is called to order. Move to item 2, please. Can we pledge the flag?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Item 3, roll call, please.
Director Goel,
Present.
Director Duarte,
Here.
Director Von Heater Leopold,
Here.
Vice President Govinda Rao, President Halkett.
I'm here. I'm assuming we're excused tonight for. All right, excellent. Okay, moving on to item 4, special announcements and activities. Presentation by the award to winners of the Excellence in Water, Wastewater, or Recycled Water Research category of the Alameda County and Contra Costa County Science and Engineering Fairs. There you go.
Good evening, Director Halkett and members of the board. My name is Erin Steffen. I am the Public Affairs Program Administrator for DSRSD. Each year, DSRSD joins with other water and wastewater agencies to sponsor the Alameda County Science and Engineering Fair and the Contra Costa County Science and Engineering Fair, as well as to present awards to outstanding projects which tackle water and wastewater related topics. This year, we're proud to share that there were 4 projects within DSRSD's service area that won the Excellence in Water, Wastewater, and Recycled Water Research Award. We have 3 of the winning projects here this evening to be recognized for their efforts. The teams will be invited to join us or to come up to the podium to briefly share information about their projects and to receive questions from the board. After all of the presentations are complete, we'll take some photos with the board. Okay, 4 projects are here this evening. So first, I'd like to start with our winner from Alameda County, Elena Peng from Quarry Lane School in Dublin. She's in middle school, and her project is optimizing microplastic removal with plant extracts. So Elena, if you want to come up with your trifold.
Hello, good evening, everyone. My name is Elena Ping, and I am here today to present my work on optimizing the removal of microplastics using plant-based extracts. The issue I was aiming to address with my project was microplastic pollution, which is an immense global issue that has affected our world for decades. Microplastics are essentially plastics that are smaller than 5 millimeters in size, and they can easily contaminate ecosystems, especially water systems. They are not easily removed, and I wanted to find an eco-friendly and sustainable solution to this widespread issue. So researchers have discovered that plant-based extracts, such as okra and fenugreek, contain natural polysaccharide polymers, which are sugar chain molecular units that can bind and trap to the suspended particles in the solution. And this causes a process called flocculation, where the particles settle to the bottom of the solution, which makes them easier to remove. This is an effective way to purify drinking water and make water safer for human consumption. And in my experiment, I focused on altering the salinity and pH of water samples to observe how it would affect water chemistry and the interaction between the plant-based extracts and the microplastics. Here's how I conducted my project. Firstly, I synthesized a microplastic environment by dissolving liquid epoxy resin in isopropyl alcohol, and this breaks down the plastic particles. Then I added 4 different plant-based extracts, specifically okra, tamarind, fenugreek, and moringa, because they would be most effective in this removal process due to their high polysaccharide content. Then I altered the pH and salinity by adding 0.1 molar hydrochloric acid and baking soda to alter pH, and I added aquarium salt to some water samples to mimic a saltwater saline environment. I then measured my results using a calibrated tool called a spectrophotometer, which shines a light through the solution and observes the concentration of light that passes through. This determines the clarity of water or how many microplastics are left, and I did this over a period of 14 days. My results demonstrated that the moringa plant extract showed the highest effectiveness overall and was more effective than my other plant extracts, including the control group. This may have been due to how I influenced pH and salinity conditions, which would have strengthened how the moringa's polysaccharides reacted. And I've conducted a form of statistical analysis called a t-test, which determines whether my results are affected by outside factors, and my one-tailed p-value was lower than 0.05, demonstrating that my results are statistically significant. Thank you for your time. Do you have any questions?
First of all, thank you for that, and I like the fact that each one of your plant extracts, most of them originate heavily from Asia, and the moringa plant is very healthy. It provides a lot of healthy benefits. So you mentioned you did a 14-day test period. At the end of the 14 days, was the plastics completely removed, or how much was left in the water?
So it reached a transmittance rate of up to 93.8%, which means that the water is 93.8% clear. And this demonstrates that it had a high removal effectiveness.
And how much did you have to use, and what kind of sample quantity were you doing?
I used it in grams. So the moringa plant extract is a powdered plant extract derived from the seed. All of the plant extracts I use were seed-derived powders, and I think I used 1 gram of each plant extract in 10 milliliters of water.
Very nice. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Great job.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Very interesting. Any other questions?
Have you spoken with the district or any other agency on how to expand to use this process with
No, I have
commercial
not.
basis?
I haven't spoken with other agencies about how to expand on my project.
My congratulations also. Excellent presentation.
Thank you.
Well done. All right.
Don't have any questions.
Yay.
Okay, so next up, I'd like to invite Smeina Kasipatla up to the podium. So Smeina comes from Doherty Valley High School, and she'll be presenting using AI to predict water demand and savings from recycled water in the San Ramon, Dublin area.
Hello everyone, I'm Smeina and I'm a sophomore at Doherty Valley High School. I'm really excited to be presenting my project, Forecasting the Flow using machine learning to predict recycled water demand in the San Ramon, Dublin area. Living here in the Tri-Valley, water conservation has always been something that I've been aware of. Communities like San Ramon and Dublin rely heavily on careful planning to manage water resources, especially during drought years and periods of extreme heat. Recycled water systems, like the ones operated through the Dublin San Ramon Services District, as well as DERWA, play an important role in reducing pressure on potable water supplies. What interested me the most was the challenge behind that planning process. Predicting how much recycled water actually is needed from month to month is very dependent on temperature or seasonal irrigation patterns and weather conditions. At the same time, machine learning is increasingly being used to improve forecasting in areas like energy systems, transportation, and infrastructure management. So I wanted to explore whether those same techniques could be used to improve recycled water demand forecasting here in the Tri-Valley. My research question became, can a machine learning model accurately predict monthly recycled water demand using historical usage and temperature data? My hypothesis was that a gradient boosting model, which is a machine learning technique that improves by learning from prediction errors, would be able to forecast demand more accurately by recognizing seasonal and historical patterns in the data. To test this, I collected 4 years of recycled water usage from DSRSD and DERWA covering 2021 through 2024. I paired that with the monthly temperature data from California's Irrigation Management Information System. Using Python and machine learning libraries like Pandas and scikit-learn, I cleaned and organized the data and built a forecasting model. One important part of the project was feature engineering, where I created variables that allowed the model to look at previous demand patterns. For example, the model considered water usage from 1 month ago, 2 months ago, and even the same month 1 year ago in order to identify reoccurring seasonal trends. I then trained the model using the gradient boosting regression, which works by combining many smaller decision trees to gradually improve prediction accuracy. If you look at the center of my board, if you can see, this is where the model's behavior becomes visible. So in figure 1, the blue line, I don't know if you can see that properly, but sorry, it's like glued down. The blue line represents the actual water demand, while the orange line represents the model's predictions. What I found very encouraging was how closely the prediction line followed the real season demand patterns. Even during the major summer increases, when the demand rose from around 50 million gallons to over 250 million gallons, the model was able to anticipate those changes with relative accuracy. This suggests that the model successfully learned the seasonal rhythm of irrigation demand in the Tri-Valley area. Figure 2 shows feature importance, which essentially tells us which variables influence the model the most. The most important factor turned out to be water usage from 12 months earlier, showing that the model identified a strong annual cycle in recycled water demand. Temperature was the second most influential factor, allowing the model to adjust predictions during unusually hot periods. So overall, the model achieved approximately 80% accuracy with a mean absolute error of about 19.9 million gallons. For a forecasting system working with large-scale monthly demand fluctuations, I found these results promising. More importantly, the model remained relatively stable even during transitional months when demand changed more rapidly. What made this project especially meaningful to me was realizing how machine learning can support real-world environmental planning. Accurate forecasting can help agencies make more informed operational decisions, improve resource efficiency, and better prepare for periods of drought or extreme weather. Moving forward, I've continued expanding this project by incorporating additional datasets from countries around the world, which improved the model's overall accuracy to approximately 89%. I'd also like to continue by refining the model by adding variables such as rainfall, soil moisture conditions, and real-time environmental data. I believe those additions would make the forecasting system even more accurate and even more adaptable for long-term water management planning. Thank you. Are there any questions?
Yeah. First of all, thank you for this. I actually really enjoyed it. So I kind of reflect a little bit back on my days when I was in high school and college and going through a lot of learning. And I'll tell you what, it was a lot more painful without machine learning.
Yes,
So
I think so.
the expansion that you did using machine learning and propagating the data, I think is actually important.
Yes,
And one of the key things, and I don't know if you guys have heard this topic of sustainable cities, sustainable infrastructure, is I think you have something that you can actually leverage and share with the industry.
of
Now,
course.
it's not just necessarily tied to recycled water, but
Course,
it
yeah.
can also be freshwater import. As you know, here in the Tri-Valley, we live on the basin, right? So we bring in water and we use it. And one of the things that we always try to figure out is how to leverage our portfolio of water supply. So as you're expanding your model, I encourage you to do that. And I also encourage you to look at agencies like ours and others that may be able to benefit. Thank you and congratulations.
Thank you so much. I'll for sure do that. Thank you. Are there any other questions?
Any other questions?
No.
Questions? Well done.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Smina. Next, I would like to invite Myra Kulkarni from Doherty Valley High School up to the podium. Myra's sponsor, Vikram Kulkarni, is also here this evening, and Myra's project is titled Development and Performance Evaluation of Mycelium-Based Composite Biofilters for Low-Cost Water Remediation. So, come on up.
Hello everybody, my name is Myra Kulkarni and I'm currently a sophomore at Doherty Valley High School. And today I'll be presenting my project on developing a low-cost sustainable water filtration system using mycelium-based composite biofilters. So, clean water access is one of the biggest global challenges today, and traditional filtration systems can be expensive, energy intensive, and difficult to implement in low resource areas who need it most. At the same time, agricultural waste products such as corn husks are often discarded, even though they have useful structural properties. So I asked this question: can we implement and use those waste products into creating an effective water filtration system? So obviously, those waste products can't be held together. So that's where my project aligned with a fungal property called mycelium, which is the root-based network of fungi. So mycelium naturally forms dense, interconnected structures and has been studied for environmental cleanup because it can bind to pollutants and trap particles, as well as holding everything together to make a structure which is stable. So for my filters, I combined different ratios of corn husk as the biodegradable structural material, mycelium as the binding and filtration network, and in some versions, I added some substrates such as biochar because it is proven to improve adsorption of contaminants. And these filters were grown in small circular pucks inside compostable containers. And after the mycelium colonized the material, the filters were dried and tested in a gravity-driven filtration setup using inverted bottles. So I tested the filters against 4 common water contaminants, which is turbidity, oil, microplastics, and the most important, metal contaminants, and I used iron, zinc, and lead. So to measure this performance, I used a visual test for turbidity comparisons for the oil separation observations and microplastic retention analysis, and I used calorimetric metal strips for the concentration measurements before and after the filtration of the 3 metals. I also created multiple filter designs to compare how different materials affected filtration performance, and the results were very promising. Some filter combinations achieved up to 95% oil removal, 90% reduction in oil, 70% reduction in zinc concentrations, and 60% reduction in lead concentration. And based on the visual test, turbidity and microplastic removal was almost over 90%. The mycelium network also significantly reduced turbidity, and it trapped the microplastics very effectively. So one interesting finding was that adding activated biochar improved the adsorption of oils and metals. I also tested sustainability by running repeated filtration cycles, and some filter designs maintained strong performance over multiple uses with only minimal decline in effectiveness, showing potential for reuse. Another important aspect of this project was the affordability and sustainability. Most filter designs were produced for only a few dollars using biodegradable and widely used materials. Since agricultural waste products are reused instead of being discarded, the system also supports circular and environmentally friendly design principles. I also plan to expand testing to other additional contaminants, including other heavy metals, chemical pollutants, and potentially biological contaminants to better evaluate the broader applications of these biofilters. I'm also exploring AI and machine learning models that can be built and introduced into a filtration system. Beyond the technical results, this project connects to larger global issues, including sustainable engineering, waste reduction, water accessibility, the environmentally responsible remediation technologies. In conclusion, my project demonstrates that mycelium-based composite biofilters have a strong potential as an inexpensive and sustainable method for improving water quality. While more refinement and testing are needed, these early results suggest that natural biological systems combined with engineering and artificial intelligence could become part of the future for low-cost water remediation solutions. Thank you so much for listening, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Excellent. Any questions?
No.
There?
I guess I'll take it again.
Go.
I'm on a roll today. I really enjoyed this presentation, and a couple of quick things, and then I'll provide a comment as well. What was the lifespan of your media filter?
Um, it was able to last multiple rounds. I think almost 5 rounds it's able to last, and even through different contaminants. So yeah, it was very stable and sustainable.
And what kind of quantities are we talking?
So
As to the fungi growth versus the amount of water treated.
so for the fungi, there were different ratios, but the weights were all the same. On my table, you can see it, but some of the ratios could include like 10 grams of mycelium versus 50 grams of of agricultural husk versus 10 grams of mycelium, 40 grams of agricultural husk, and 10 grams of biochar. So I kept the weight constant so that nothing can mess, like the weight can't mess any of the filtration up. And the water quantity I used was also remained stable. I can't quite remember how much water I used, but it is on my board, and it remains constant throughout all the experiments.
Well, I do appreciate that. I say you'd be really onto something if you come up with a scientific product that can help us get rid of PFAS. So that's your challenge, AI model. You figure that out. I'm going to be coming to your celebration on your product.
Thank you so much.
Great job.
Well done. All right. I think we have no more questions. That was well done. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Myra. And finally, this evening, we have Krishna Jagan from Dublin High School and Arjun Jagan from Stone Valley Middle School. And their project is sponsored by Sudha Jayachandran, who's here tonight. Their project is entitled HydroShift, Integrating Data-Driven Predictive Modeling and Immersive Unity-Based Simulation to Change Adolescent Behavior Toward Water Conservation. So I'd like to come on up.
Good evening, members of the board, and thank you for giving us the opportunity to speak today. My name is Krishna Jagan, and this is my partner Arjun. We are students from Dublin High School and Stone Valley Middle School, and the creators of HydroShift, an AI-driven environmental simulation focused on water conservation education. Living in California, drought has become a reality that affects all of our communities. Even though many students understand the importance of conservation, we notice that awareness doesn't always lead to action, and this inspired us to create HydroShift. HydroShift is an interactive Unity-based simulation where users make everyday water usage decisions involving showers, irrigation, appliances, and conservation upgrades. As players make these decisions, the environment changes through water shortages, economic impacts, and environmental stress. Instead of just learning about drought in a classroom, users experience the consequences of the decisions in real time. While developing HydroShift, we found that one of the biggest challenges in conservation is that many people do not immediately see the effects of their water daily usage. A few extra minutes in the shower or a small leak may not feel important in the moment, but over time, those habits add up across entire communities. That idea became a major focus for our project. We wanted to create something that helps students visualize how everyday decisions can directly affect water availability, environmental health, and long-term sustainability. To better connect with our younger audience, we decided to deliver our message through an interactive game-based format rather than a traditional presentation or lecture.
One of the biggest things we learned through this project is that younger generations can have a major influence on long-term conservation habitats. Students not only influence themselves, but they also influence families and other communities. We believe HydroShift helps conservation by making it more engaging and personally meaningful towards the younger audiences. In a world where students are surrounded by technology, interactive learning can often create stronger connection than passive instruction alone. Looking ahead, our goal is to continue developing HydroShift this summer and begin exploring ways it could be implemented into local classrooms, workshops, and educational outreach programs. We want to expand the simulation, improve the data analysis systems, and create classroom-friendly lessons integrations that teachers could realistically use to introduce students to water sustainability in a more engaging way. That is one of the main reasons why we wanted to speak to you today. As students, there's only so much that we could do on our own, and we would love the opportunity to work with organizations like Dublin San Ramon Services District to help bring projects further into the community like this. Whether that involves mentorship, outreach opportunities, educational feedback, or guidance on how conservation organizations in the community with the public. We would be incredibly grateful for the chance to learn and collaborate. Thank you for your time, and we'll be happy to answer any questions.
Cool.
Yeah.
You go first.
I'm going to go 4 for 4 on this one.
Oh.
First of all, thank you again on this one. And the question that I had for you is the gaming system that you are developing. You used AI to develop that gaming system, or?
No, so what we did is we developed the game system using the Unity game engine, and AI is used to make better decisions to give to the user so that they can better their water conservation strategies.
And so is it scalable by age as well, the game?
It's mostly targeted towards school-going kids or just adolescents in general, but that might be an aspect that we can implement in the future.
Well, I think you guys are onto something, and I think it's a great outreach technique, especially if you think about leveraging the web, the interfaces, and tablets and toys, because kids are on that all the time. And why not embed a message that can do a lifetime change? I think you guys are onto something. You can feel free to grab just my last name at DSRSD.com. That's actually for everyone over here, is send me your message. I'd love to actually see a demonstration because I think there's an element that we in these different capacities can actually help share with the community or come up with policies and ideas that can actually help you guys and also help our community. Thank you for doing that. Thank you for everyone. And I really do appreciate this. Honestly, at your guys' age, I was not this smart, and you guys are phenomenal. You guys said some words that I probably can't even pronounce. So great job. Thank you. Congratulations.
Well said. Anything, Ed?
Yeah, I want to add to that. I think about, back when I was in 7th grade, the level of sophistication and research that all you kids are doing is quite staggering, actually. We're lucky that to have all of you to be residents in our Tri-Valley. And I want to congratulate you and thank you on outstanding presentations. Our future is in good hand.
It is.
And I'll add to that, I couldn't agree more with Director Duarte. It's just amazing at what you have presented. I only understood parts of it. I'm an accountant. I know nothing about chemistry or any of the rest. And you all are absolutely amazing. I wish you the best of luck. And I would encourage you to make presentations, if possible, at the other agencies in the Tri-Valley, because I think some of your ideas are definitely worth additional looking at. Thank you.
Very much.
All right, well done. Well done. Thank you.
So now I'd like the board to please come out in front of the dais and we'll do photos and then we can continue.
Here we go. Nothing to vote on. So we'll be there. Here we go. All right.
Oh, thank you.
Smina, if you can hold on for 1 second afterwards, I've got the checks and the commissioner of the zoning officers with a catch to get that from them.
This is great. I don't think we've ever had the parents with the
Love it. All right, everybody ready?
Yep.
Okay, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And then we're gonna do it like this. 1, 2, 3. And 1, 2, 3. Great.
Awesome.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Oh, wait, one more.
Oh, sorry.
3, 2, and 1. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great.
All right.
Congratulations. Yeah, you're the ones that pushed.
And last but not least.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you so much.
Well done. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And Krishna. Okay. Let me hold Arjun. Krishna.
Hi.
All right.
See when you guys have
Everybody get all cozy.
the game, gotta add something there.
All right. Ready? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Great. And 1, 2, 3. Oh, it's not working.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
1, 2, 3. And 1, 2, 3. Okay.
Awesome.
Great.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations.
Welcome. Thank you.
Congratulations. That's really good. Bring these all out.
Yeah. All right.
Okay. That's.
You got it. All right, get a box. Box, go.
Oh, yeah. That's fine.
For like our set of school.
Oh, really? Really quick, this one more?
Yeah.
Can you? They're both from. Oh, right? Yeah, go for it. Oh, yeah. I've got it.
There we go.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Great job. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right. Good job, guys.
It's not enough that they even think of the subject
Yes,
to examine it, and then what they dig into and come up with.
yes, it is. It's just, it blows me away. Every year does.
Every year, it gets more and more advanced.
Huh?
Good job.
Yeah, I want to try the video game.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Easier.
Bye, everyone.
Okay. Well done. I think that dispenses with item 4 and 4A. We'll move on to item 5, public comment. This is open to the public. I have no speaker cards. Nicole, anything?
No speaker cards.
All right, so we're going to move on from public comment. Agenda management, item 6.
No, recommend straight through.
Straight through. Item 7, consent calendar. These items are typically taken as a whole because they're non-controversial. If anybody wants to pull anything for discussion, feel free. Otherwise, I will entertain a motion for the consent calendar.
Move the consent calendar.
Second.
I've got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Hi.
None opposed. 4-0. All right. Item 8, board business. Receive presentation on 2025 water quality report.
Good evening, President Halkett, board members. I'd like to introduce Christy Fournier, the district's Deputy Director of Operations over Regulatory Affairs, and she is going to be providing the board with an informational presentation on the district's annual water quality report.
Good evening, President Halkett and members of the board. My name is Christy Fournier. I'm the Deputy Director of Operations Regulatory. I'm going to walk you through the 2025 Annual Water Quality Report. It was posted on DSRSD's website on April 30th of this year, and it will be going out in mail billing inserts in May and June of this year. I also want to recognize that this is a multi-department, multi-division effort with strong support from public affairs, customer service, the laboratory team, and field operations, as well as an interagency effort with Zone 7 Water Agency. Nope. Okay, let's go that way. Okay, whoops, too far. So I'm just going to give you a brief background of the annual water quality report, what it's for. I'm going to go over some drinking water standards and other tables that we have in the annual water quality report. I'll go over the contaminants that were detected in 2025. I also want to preface this by saying that the water quality of the water delivered to our customers met all regulatory standards. There's also a special section that's dedicated to per and polyfluoroalkyl substances and the EPA's special study, the Unregulated Contaminant Monitoring Rule 5. Even though there were no detections this year for PFAS and no detections in the Unregulated Contaminant Monitoring Rule study, we felt that it was good information for our customers to have since PFAS is in the news. Also, we have a section devoted to customer frequently asked questions. So the annual water quality report usually covers the calendar year from January 1st to December 31st. It must be made available to the public by July 1st of the following year after monitoring is completed. Also, the agency must demonstrate that they have done their due diligence in notifying customers about the availability of this report, and that certification is due by October 1st. So the drinking water provided to our customers is thoroughly tested. There's over 42,000 different analytical results that are generated annually, and this includes field testing done in the laboratory, both in DSRSD's laboratory, Zone 7 Water's laboratory as well, and other labs that we contract with. We test for over 178 unique chemical or microbiological target analytes, and this is all to support that the rigorous testing confirms the drinking water provided meets or surpasses state and federal standards. So let's go over some of the standards. The two main ones are primary standards. Primary standards are contaminants that can affect health. And then there are secondary standards. Those are aesthetic standards. Those are to protect odor, taste, and appearance. Additionally, we provide information, we call them additional parameters, and they're there to assist customers with making economic decisions or health-related decisions. We also provide information about certain contaminants that are not yet regulated, like those that are in the Unregulated Contaminant Monitoring Rule, and also those that have health-based standards by the state of California, like PFAS. So let's dig into the contaminants detected in 2025. We're going to start off with the primary contaminants. Those are ones that have health-based standards. And we're gonna divide that into two sections. The first section that we'll go over is the distribution system. And what I mean by the distribution system is that once Zone 7 provides us the water, this is the water that it goes through all of our piping, is stored in our reservoirs. So it's distributed, it's our distribution and storage. It is not surprising that we detected our Zone 7's disinfection, which is chloramines, as chlorine. That's their method of disinfecting the water. And it's not surprising that we found disinfection byproducts like total trihalomethanes or haloacetic acids, because as the disinfectant reacts with total organic carbon, it does create these disinfection byproducts. However, all of the everything was below regulatory limits, and also not a surprise that we have fluoride in the distribution system that was detected. Some of the water sourced is from well water, and there is naturally occurring fluoride in the groundwater, in addition to the treatment that we apply as well. So the second section are health-based contaminants or primary contaminants in the source water. A lot of these elements come from the groundwater. They were not above regulatory limits. Total organic carbon and turbidity are usually measured factors in surface water. Again, nothing above the regulatory limits. We also completed our triennial lead and copper sampling. So we collected samples from 31 sites in 2025, and all results were below the regulatory levels for copper and lead. In addition to that, we also have a section that talks about lead in school testing. So we did complete lead in school testing for our public school system in 2018 and also provided results for one private school system. In 2027, we're going to be reevaluating the school effort and looking at elementary schools and daycare centers, as well as secondary schools that ask to have testing completed at their sites. And this is all an effort to comply with the revisions for the lead and copper rule, or lead and copper rule improvements is what it's called. We also provide information on our secondary standards. That's the aesthetic standards. And we detected chloride, conductivity, sulfate, and TDS. Again, all below secondary standard limits. In addition to that, we provide our customers with additional information about alkalinity, boron, pH, potassium, sodium, and total hardness. We do have a special section dedicated to per and polyfluoral alkyl substances. Like I said at the top, there were no detections in Zone 7 Water Agency's regular monitoring during the 2025 year. In addition to that, there were no detections in the special federal study that we completed at our turnouts in 2023 and 2024. Zone 7 has been pretty proactive about implementing treatment. As you know, in 2024, the final rule for PFAS at the federal level was passed, but compliance doesn't start until 2029. And Zone 7 has built the first treatment facility in 2023 at their Stone Ridge facility, their second facility in 2025 at the Chain of Lakes, and they have a facility planned for completion in 2028. I also do want to note that there have been recent developments on the federal level. As of yesterday, it was announced that there will be two proposed rules coming out regarding PFAS, and one of those is to take some of the PFAS contaminants off of the list. They intend to move forward with PFOA and PFOS and those final limits. And the second is to prolong the compliance period so that water systems will not have to comply until 2031 if they meet the criteria. And again, those haven't been published in the Federal Register, but we expect that to happen in the next couple of weeks. And once that's done, that opens the public comment period. So now our frequently asked questions. Frequent questions from customers usually deal with the aesthetic concerns of the water that they are served. So, taste and odor changes are a frequent question, and that has to do with source water changes. We have a blend of surface water and well water, and sometimes when we change that mix, there will be questions that come up or inquiries. Also, the water is chloraminated, and sometimes we can get some customer calls about um, the smells coming from the water due to the disinfection process. Algal blooms, although not so much anymore after the ozone treatment has been implemented at surface water treatment facilities. And also, we recommend that customers check into any household water filters that they may have because those need to be changed out regularly. And if you don't change them out, then you can end up concentrating the contaminants and ingesting it. So, regular maintenance on water filters is necessary. Sometimes smells could be also coming from garbage disposal P-traps. We do have a section in the FAQs dedicated to fluoridation. Fluoride is a naturally occurring element. It's in the groundwater naturally. And in 1974, there was a treatment that was approved by the voter base. Water is treated to the optimal fluoridation level set by the CDC at 0.7 milligrams per liter. In addition to that, another frequently asked question is about water hardness. There is no health-related limit nor aesthetic limit on the federal or state level for water hardness. It is caused by the naturally occurring minerals in the source water, and usually well water will have a higher hardness level than surface water. And also, it depends on what kind of blend we're getting to surface to well water and whether it's a conservation year or not. If we're in a drought, when we're in a drought, we may see higher hardness levels. But for 2025, we saw ranges from soft to very hard. So in summary, the 2025 annual water quality report is posted for our customers to view. And we are very proud to say that DSRSD's drinking water meets and often surpasses the state and federal standards. And with that, I'll take any questions.
Thank you very much. Let's start over here to my left. Any questions?
No, I don't have any questions.
How about you, Mr. Duarte? Any questions? Okay.
Just make a quick comment.
Yeah.
Thank you for the update, and I like that last slide says meets and exceeds. That's a great checkbox, and thank you for keeping your eye on our regulations and compliance. I guess we're going to keep on finding out and learning more about what's happening at our federal government relative to regulation. So thank you for sharing an update as fresh as yesterday. Appreciate it.
Awesome. Yeah, well done. One quick question about hardness, because that's typically what we hear about. Are there any differences between the the various turnouts in various parts of our service area? Like for example, does Doherty Valley get harder water than Old Dublin, or is there something there as far as geographic distribution of how hard the water actually is? And I know it changes through time too, depending on source water, but
It does change depending upon the source water, but I'd have to look into that to look at the different turnout locations and map the hardness to see if there are differences.
Not mission critical. It's just some communities bring it up more than others, so I'm assuming that there is a variation amongst our service area. Oh,
Correct. But I would also just add that we also have customers that, for example, in the city of San Ramon, that receive water from two different agencies, East Bay Mud and DSRSD. So they're also reacting to the differences.
And they could be right across the street from each other.
Correct.
So, yes. No, it's a patchwork up there. I get it. Anyway, great presentation. I'm glad that we're all meeting and exceeding expectations. That's awesome. Anything else? I don't believe we have any action. This is informational only. Awesome. So we'll move on from 8A. Now it gets complicated. We got a lot of stuff going on here. Okay. And no public comment about that, right? All right, good. All right. 9A, board member items. We're going to do these in order because we have several things going on. All right, 9A1, Joint Powers Authority and committee reports. I see none on my sheet. I'm assuming that's accurate, so we can move on from 9A1. 9A2, submittal of written reports for day of service events attended by directors. Written reports are due this evening. Does anybody have any reports? I started over here. I'll start over here because you also always have something.
I attended the Alameda County Special Districts Association general meeting last week, and there was quite a bit of business conducted, but we first received a presentation from Timothy Burrows, the Executive Director for Stop Waste, and it was really quite interesting. He commented that even they struggle with which bin to put things in, depending on whether or not it's recyclable or combustible. And so the whole group talked a little bit about that because, as you all know, you stand there for a few minutes and decide, okay, where does this go? It's not just simple paper, it's all the other things. And he encouraged everybody to think about ways to use the product, because the way they're looking at it now is it's not keeping it out of the landfill, it's how to complete the circle and make it usable. They're constantly looking at ways, as we know, to use all of the material because the landfills are getting full, plain and simple. But he said they still have a lot of problems with the average customer doesn't do well at home. They do better in the public bins, but at home we're not as good as we should be. And I know that myself. You know, I struggle with which bin is supposed to go in. If it's glass, it goes in glass. No, not if it's got food in it. You need to wash it out, which I haven't done, I must admit. Anyway, his comment was, we really have to think about it because we're just creating more trash right and left, and we've got to figure out suitable, sustainable, economical ways to reuse all of this. But then the rest of the meeting was a lot of business with regard to the chapter itself. We elected a whole bunch of new officers, and I'm going to find that page, I hope. Hayward Area Recreation and Park District is taking over the management area, so Roland, after 12, 13, 14 years, nobody's quite sure, excuse me, is going to step down, which means we have to break in another admin person. However, I found out that the admin person at Hayward Rec is a parent of one of my grandchildren's friends, so fortunately it'll be a good connection. But Jim Wheeler's going to be president, and Rick Hatcher is taking over as treasurer, and we elected 3 at large instead of 2 at large. The budget was passed, the bylaws of revision were passed, the meeting minutes was approved, and our next meeting is the joint meeting, July 8th, between Alameda County and Contra Costa County. It's at 10 a.m. at Diablo Water District in Oakley. So we were encouraged to carpool. And that's it. Oh, there's one more, excuse me. October 14th, Hayward Recreation, and I did not get the details as to whether this is in person or Zoom. They're hosting the financial training that we're supposed to be getting by the end of the year, of next year. So that's if someone wants to not get it online or get it through the special districts, they're going to do it. And that's it.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Dread. Go out.
Attended Aqua with yourself, Director Halkett. It was a good event. The ending day was Governor Newsom made his presentation. So a lot of good information, high level. There was discussions about delta conveyance and site reservoir, a little bit about at risk relative to governmental change. You guys know what I'm referring to, so I won't get into that. They were talking about a lot of on sites reservoir moving into actual execution mode after they get past the water rights. And then a little bit about affordability, and then a little bit about resilience across the infrastructure. And it's not just a water-only issue, it's multi-sector. So it's a lot of good conversations, an opportunity to exchange information as always. Great takeaways.
Yep, I was at Aqua as well. Governor Newsom was impressive. He spoke for a half hour in detail, chronologically, about water stuff that you wouldn't expect a governor to actually know, without notes and without a teleprompter. So
Wow.
he actually lives water, which is kind of cool. I guess if you're in California, you have to do that. Site's presentation was interesting. I'm actually becoming more of a fan of that project, especially if they can actually start building it this year. Other matters that are in my written report. The funny one was on the very last day they had a cybersecurity talk. A panel of two, one of which was a CFO for a irrigation district in the valley that was hacked. They went to work on Halloween one day and Halloween Eve, and their entire system was shut down and all their data was stolen. And the other guy was a FBI agent who was actually pretty funny. We're doing well. I mean, they gave us a bunch of checklists and stuff, and from what I know, I think we're doing all that stuff, so I'm feeling good there. The one funny story from the FBI agent, he was giving a talk in Bermuda at one point. He gives lectures on hacker psychology and how to counter it. Checks in his hotel with his FBI buddy. He sees two things that are connected to the internet in his room. One's a TV and one's the fridge. It's one of those fridges where if you take a drink out, it talks to the computer and it fills you. So he being he pulled the fridge out from under the counter, jacked his laptop into it, and hacked into the. He wouldn't say which hotel it was. It's one on brand, but basically, as a demo, hacked into their system, got past everything. Then he went to the hotel management and showed them the logs, and it was interesting. So don't let FBI guys into the office with things hooked to the internet. All in all, as always, you learn a lot of stuff, and then we bother Jan with a bunch of ideas that then she has to deal with. Anyway, good meeting. I think 9A2 is done now. 9A3. Any new agenda items from the board? Hearing none, we'll go off of there. 9B, staff reports to the general manager.
Monthly report for April is attached, as well as the Public Affairs Quarterly Report for Q3, and we're available to answer any questions.
I have a question about the public outreach, and I'm sad that Aaron left. Are there events on a calendar somewhere? I mean, some of the things she reported on would have been fun for me anyway to have attended to see what we're doing out there. Do you know if there's a calendar?
We do keep the board calendar, and we include updates on upcoming events in the board communications update that the board receives every couple weeks.
Okay.
And when there's opportunities for the board to participate and attend, we usually highlight those in those reports.
There were some that I hadn't heard of before and just was amazed at how many places we've been. She's doing an amazing job. I wish she was still here.
Director Von Heater Leopold, if there's specific ones that you're interested in or that caught your eye, if you want to let staff know, we can make sure that those get into the board communications update.
Okay. Well, I enjoyed the presentation tonight. I wish we'd had more time to actually read their boards because then you can sort of understand what they're doing.
All right.
And then upcoming events, we have the LAVMA board meeting tomorrow here in the board meeting or boardroom. And our employee recognition event is this Thursday, and I believe that the board members in attendance tonight have also signed up, so we will see you Thursday.
Excellent. I think that's 9B1 and 9B2. We're on a roll. Moving on to 10, closed session. We're going to go to one of our conference rooms.
The board conference room.
Item 10A, conference with legal counsel. Significant exposure to litigation pursuant to government section 54956.9D2. One case. Any other attendees or just the board and council, right? And in the jam. Awesome. Everybody mute your mic, please, and let's go take care of our closed session. Okay, the board, are we good? The board meeting's back in open session. The closed session has concluded. There were no reportable actions from the closed session. I think we've dispensed with our business, so at 7:27 or 6, we will adjourn this meeting. Thank you.